She kissed him goodbye every morning for 3 years, cooked dinner, laughed at his jokes, held his hand at family barbecues. And the entire time, she was counting down the days until a piece of paper landed in their mailbox. The day her green card was approved, she didn't celebrate with champagne. She celebrated with divorce papers. And a man she called her cousin. But here's the thing about using someone as a stepping stone into a country. Sometimes that stone fights back. And in this case, that stone picked up a phone, called U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and said 4 words that changed everything. I want to report fraud. I'm the narrator. And today we're opening a case file that spans 3 years of lies, 1 devastating betrayal, and a revenge arc so clean, it required a government agency. This is the saga of the Green Card Bride. Let's begin.
Alright, look. I already know what some of you are thinking. How did you not see it coming? Trust me. I've asked myself that question about 4,000 times. But here's the thing, when you're in it, when you're actually living it, you don't see the con. You see a woman you love. And that blinds you to everything else. So let me take you back to the beginning. I was 31 years old. Software engineer. Decent job, decent apartment, zero luck with dating. I'd been on every app. Hinge. Bumble. Even tried the weird niche ones. Nothing ever stuck. Either I'd get ghosted after 2 dates or I'd realize by date 3 that we had absolutely nothing in common. Then I matched with Elena. She was from Eastern Europe. Moldova, specifically. I'll be honest, I didn't even know where Moldova was before I met her. Had to Google it. She was 27. Beautiful. Had this accent that made everything sound a little more interesting than it actually was. We talked for 3 months before we even met in person. Video calls every night. She'd tell me about her life there, how hard it was, how she dreamed of traveling, of building something better. And I ate it up. Every word. Looking back, I realized she was testing me. Seeing if I was the right mark. She asked subtle questions about my job, my income, whether I owned my apartment or rented. At the time, I thought she was just being practical. Mature. Yeah. Eventually, I flew out to meet her. Spent 2 weeks in Moldova. It was, honestly, it was incredible. She introduced me to her family. Her mom made me dinner. Her dad shook my hand and said something in Romanian that Elena translated as, "Take care of my daughter." I proposed 3 months later. I know. Fast. People told me it was fast. My mom told me. My buddy Chris definitely told me. But I was 31, lonely, and convinced I'd found my person. We got married in a small ceremony in Houston. Courthouse, nothing fancy. She didn't have a lot of family who could fly in, so it was mostly my side. About 40 people. Cost me around $8,000 all in, including her flights and the honeymoon. Then came the visa process. K1, adjustment of status, the whole nightmare. If you've never dealt with US immigration, let me paint you a picture. It's paperwork. Mountains of it. Forms I-130, I-485, I-864. I became fluent in alphabet soup. We had interviews together at the USCIS office. They asked us questions to make sure the marriage was real. What side of the bed does she sleep on? What's her favorite food? When's her birthday? I answered everything perfectly. Because I knew her. I loved her. She got her conditional green card. 2-year card. We had to apply again to remove the conditions and get the permanent one. And for those 2 years? Life was good. At least, I thought it was. We bought a house together. Well, I bought it. My name on the mortgage. But she helped pick it out. A 3-bedroom in the suburbs. $340,000. I put down $70,000. She got a job at a local bakery. Part-time, nothing crazy. She said she wanted to contribute, even if it wasn't much. We talked about kids. She said she wanted to wait until her immigration status was fully settled. Made sense to me. Looking back, there were signs. Small ones. She was protective of her phone. Said it was a cultural thing, that she valued privacy. She'd take calls in the other room. When I asked who it was, she'd say my mom or my friend from home. Once, I saw a text notification in a language I didn't recognize. She said it was Moldovan slang. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We filed to remove the conditions on her green card in early 2022. More paperwork. More fees. Another interview. And in March 2023, we got the letter. She cried when she opened it. Hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. Told me, this is the happiest day of my life.
The happiest day of her life. Interesting choice of words. Because in exactly 72 hours, she'd be serving him divorce papers. And her cousin would be moving into the house he paid for. The mask was about to fall.
Okay, so. This is the part that still makes me physically sick to talk about. 3 days after we got that letter, 3 days, I came home from work, and there was a guy sitting in my living room. Just sitting there. On my couch. Elena introduced him as Andre. Her cousin. Said he'd just arrived from Moldova and needed a place to stay for a few weeks while he got on his feet. I was caught off guard. She hadn't mentioned anyone coming to visit. But I figured, okay, family helps family. I shook his hand. He barely looked at me. The next morning, I woke up to Elena standing over me with an envelope. She said, I'm sorry. I've filed for divorce. No build-up. No fight the night before. No, we need to talk. Just, done. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, reading the paperwork, and my brain just refused to process it. Like, the words were there, but they weren't making sense. I asked her why. What happened? What I did wrong? She said she wasn't happy. That she hadn't been happy for a while. That she needed to find herself. I asked about Andre. About why her cousin was here the same week she was leaving me. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, he has nothing to do with this. And I almost believed her. Almost. The next few days were a blur. She moved into the guest bedroom. Andre stayed. I was walking around my own house like a ghost. And then, one night, I woke up at 2 a.m. because I heard something. I walked downstairs, and I saw them. On the couch. Together. Not sitting. Together. I didn't confront them. I just turned around, went back upstairs, and something inside me shifted. This wasn't a marriage that fell apart. This was a con. And I was the mark. The next day, I did something I probably should have done years earlier. I started digging. I found her old social media accounts. The ones she said she deleted. She hadn't. She just blocked me. And there he was. Andre. In pictures from 2018. 2017, 2016. Romantic pictures. Kissing. Captions in Romanian with heart emojis. This wasn't her cousin. This was her boyfriend. Maybe her fiancé. He'd been in the picture the entire time. I felt like I was going to throw up. 3 years. 3 years of my life, $70,000 in a down payment, the mortgage, the wedding, the visa fees, all of it was part of her plan to get a green card so she could bring him over. I was the bridge. And now that she'd crossed it, she was burning me. I called my buddy Chris that night. Told him everything. He said, dude. Report her. And that's when I learned something I didn't know before. If a marriage is proven to be fraudulent, if someone married a U.S. citizen solely to obtain immigration benefits, their green card can be revoked. And they can be deported.
Most people in his position would have wallowed, accepted the loss, moved on. But not him. He didn't want to move on. He wanted justice. And in America, justice sometimes comes with a government seal. The war was about to begin.
All right. So I'm not proud of everything I felt during this period. There was rage. A lot of it. Some days I couldn't eat. Some days I couldn't sleep. But underneath all that, there was focus. Because I realized something, I had evidence. A lot of it. I hired an immigration attorney. Cost me about $5,000 just for the initial consultation and to get the process started. He told me what I needed to prove, that Elena entered the marriage with the intent to deceive. That she never intended to build a real life with me. That the marriage was a vehicle for immigration fraud. And he told me how to prove it, documentation. Witnesses. Patterns. So I started building a case. First, the social media evidence. I screenshotted everything before she could delete it. Timestamped photos of her and Andre going back years. Comments. Tags. Check-ins. Second, financial records. I pulled bank statements showing I paid for basically everything, the house, the wedding, the visa fees. She contributed almost nothing. Third, communication records. I subpoenaed her phone records through the divorce proceedings. There were calls to the same Moldovan number going back to 2019. Hundreds of them. During our entire marriage. Fourth, and this one was big, I tracked down Andrei's travel records. He had visited the US twice before. On tourist visas. And both times, he'd stayed with Elena, at hotels. While we were married. She told me she was visiting friends. She was visiting him. I compiled everything into a folder and submitted a formal complaint to USCIS, specifically, the Fraud Division. I also contacted ICE. Now, here's the thing about government investigations, they take forever. Months went by. The divorce was finalized. She got nothing in the settlement because I proved the marriage was fraudulent, and the judge wasn't sympathetic to someone who'd been lying from day one. She had to move out of the house. She and Andre rented an apartment about 20 minutes away. And I waited. Then, in November 2023, I got a call. It was an investigator from USCIS. They wanted to interview me. I went in with my lawyer. Sat in a gray room with two agents who looked like they'd seen this 100 times. I told them everything. Showed them everything. They didn't react much. Just took notes. But at the end, one of them said, "We'll be in touch." And I knew it wasn't over. 2 months later, Elena got a letter of her own. A notice to appear. For removal proceedings. Her green card was being revoked. She was being investigated for marriage fraud. And if found guilty, she would be deported.
A notice to appear. For words that carry the weight of a collapsing life. She spent 3 years building her lie. He spent 6 months tearing it down. Now came the final act.
I wasn't at the hearing. Didn't need to be. My lawyer kept me updated. Apparently, Elena showed up with her own attorney. Tried to argue that the marriage was real and that we just grew apart. But the evidence was too strong. The photos of her and Andre from before she even met me. The phone records. The travel records. The fact that she filed for divorce 72 hours after getting her green card. The immigration judge ruled that the marriage was fraudulent. Her green card was revoked. She was given 60 days to leave the country voluntarily, or face formal deportation. And Andre? He was on a tourist visa that was about to expire. He had no path to stay. He had to leave with her. Their whole plan collapsed. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she left in May 2024. Flew back to Moldova. No job prospects. No savings. And now a flag on her immigration record that would make it nearly impossible to enter the US again. She burned her bridge. And I made sure it stayed burned. Do I feel good about it? Honestly? Some days, yeah. Some days I feel like I got justice. Like I stood up for myself instead of being a doormat. Other days, I feel tired. Used. Like 3 years of my life were just erased. But here's what I keep reminding myself. I didn't ruin her life. She did. I just made sure there were consequences. And now, I'm rebuilding. Sold the house. Took a loss, but I don't care. I couldn't live there anymore. Started therapy. It's helping. Slowly. Dating again? Not yet. Maybe not for a while. But eventually. The point is, I survived. And she didn't win.
3 years of performance. 3 years of calculated smiles, rehearsed affection, and a future that was never real. She thought she had him figured out. A lonely software engineer with a steady income and a trusting heart. But she underestimated something important. The quiet ones pay attention. And they remember. He didn't yell. He didn't break down. He gathered receipts. He made calls. He filed paperwork. And when the final gavel came down, it wasn't revenge. It was consequence. There's a lesson in this case file. And it's not, don't trust anyone. That's too cynical even for me. The lesson is this: trust but verify. Love but protect yourself. And if someone uses you as a stepping stone, make sure the ground they land on is immigration court. I'm the narrator. And this has been the case of the Green Card Bride. If you made it this far, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you've got a story that belongs in this office, a betrayal, a revenge, a moment of justice, send it my way. The case files are always open. Until next time.